While many college students spend their summer internships getting coffee, we here at CBS News like to put our interns to work, and that's why we challenge them to create an entirely original news piece from scratch in just 1 week.
The teams are responsible for writing, shooting, and editing their stories, and they're then judged by a panel of CBS News executives. Here is this year's winning project.
Bacteria are everywhere. Some of these tiny creatures make us sick, some keep us healthy, and sometimes they're used to make art. Quinicia Fraser shows us how millions of microorganisms growing in petri dishes are bringing art and science closer together.
When people come in from outside of the lab and we show them what we're doing here, we usually have to say it a few times.
Tara Rhoda may look like a scientist,
So if I wanted to add texture,
but she's actually an artist.
as they approach the light box and I introduce the concept of painting with bacteria and mention that the bacteria is E. coli, all of a sudden the group that's approached immediately retracts. And it happens every time.
She manages the BioArt lab at the School of Visual Arts in New York.
I kind of ease them back in and assure them that it's not the kind that they've heard about in the news.
It's not the kind that can make them sick.
Right.
This is what's called Agar Art, bacteria painted on agar, the jelly-like substance used in petri dishes.
And it's clear, it's transparent, and rather than immediately being able to see our art, we have to wait for it to grow.
The E. coli used here are genetically modified for safety and to produce colorful pigments. Some even glow in the dark. Agar Art has also started spreading on social media. The Instagram account Petri Dish Picasso gives new meaning to popular culture.
We got a lot of people that said, "Ew, what are you doing? This is awful. You're going to create the next superbug."
Courtney Toth is one of Petri Dish Picasso's many contributors.
It's not just about the bacteria being pretty. It's about telling a story behind that petri dish.
Another agar artist who's taken to Instagram is Melissa Palmer. She runs Microbial Muse.
I also really like the imagery of using lots of really small microbes to show the beauty of big nature, like mountains and lakes and landscapes.
And now, agar artists are bringing their best dishes to the competitive table. The American Society for Microbiology runs an annual Agra Art Contest that started in 2015.
The general public really doesn't think about microorganisms unless they're thinking about disease.
Catherine Lontalk represents the organization.
And it's actually only about 1% of bacteria cause disease in humans. Bacteria do a lot of things for us that are good.
But you don't have to be an expert to explore Agar Art. Thanks to public workshops, people of all ages and backgrounds can make their very own microbial masterpieces.
This is Gen Space in Brooklyn, the world's first community biology lab.
We have lots of different strains that have different colors.
Daniel Grushkin runs Gen Space.
People from all walks of life have walked in here and got in the lab, put on their lab gloves, and painted sometimes their first portrait using a living organism.
It's fun. I mean, it's enjoyable. Something as simple as drawing is a great way to draw the public in.
There you go. You need to
Ooh, that's exciting.
Quinicia Fraser, CBS News, New York.
From famous figures to flowers, this blooming craft is inspiring people to see both science and art in a different light. Thanks for joining us. I'm Miguel Octavio with CBS This Morning.
Oh, he's got the look down.
He's got the look down, Pat. The winning team joins us now. Welcome Connor Federico, Quinicia Fraser, Miguel Octavio, Savannah Sinfield, and Kira Wardlow. Congratulations, guys.
Good job. Really good job.
So, you know, every year I've been very lucky and blessed to judge the group of intern projects. I was in the first group this year, but one of the things I remarked to my colleagues is that every year they get better and better and better. This could have aired on Evening News or CBS This Morning. Who came up with the idea?
It was my idea.
Yeah, all right, take credit where credit is due.
So I study cinema and media studies and also biology. So I was thinking about it, and I can't actually remember when I first heard about like this bacterial art. But I thought, you know, it's a great story. It's a story about looking at something that's familiar, but in a very different way. And I pitched it to the group, and they were willing to go with it, and we ended up having a great time.
Yeah, it looks like you had a great time. Quinizia, what were some of the challenges aside from like getting over the ick factor? Because there must have been a little bit like, ugh, this is gross.
So I think the biggest challenge was sort of boiling down the biological terms that we were trying to kind of explain to an audience. We wanted everything to be understandable. And it was also challenging because we had so much material and so many great characters, and we actually had to cut a couple out, which was a bummer. But
really?
Yeah, so it's actually, I think, a lot better to have way too much to work with than not enough.
Right.
So we were lucky, but that was definitely a challenge.
Wow. So, all right, one of the things that I'm always fascinated by is how you decide to put the piece together. You probably shot a lot. When you're a young journalist, you tend to overshoot, you tend to overwrite. How difficult was the editing process?
I thought it was fairly difficult because we had a lot of material. I think we had about 7 interviews total. We shot a lot of B-roll as well. So it was definitely
7 interviews?
7 interviews.
And how long did it have to be?
2 weeks.
Was there a limitation on how long
3
it was?
minutes, but we had 2 weeks to do the piece, so we decided to just go for it. And yeah, I think, I don't know, we worked really well together. We spent a lot of hours together, so I think the fact that they gave us 2 weeks to work on it really helped.
But this is going to be sort of a different way of working for you guys. I imagine in your programs, maybe you're working with one other person, or you're doing everything. You're coming up with the idea, writing, shooting, everything. So now you have this group that you've been thrown together. What sort of challenges came about with that?
Honestly, I think we can all agree that we got really lucky with our group.
Really?
We played off of each other's strengths. There was never one conflict about, who's going to be on air, who's going to produce. We all just, it was smooth sailing. And we all got so close, and I think that the best part of this internship is the opportunity that we had to do this. And now we all have 4 new best friends.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you this. What did you learn from the judging process? What was the biggest takeaway? I think Ryan Cajo, the executive producer of CBS This Morning, was in your group. I think Anna Werner, a correspondent, was in your group. What did they tell you? And then I'll ask you my follow-up. Who wants to answer that?
Mike.
You're not Mike. We have to go.
We should point that out because I felt bad because I asked Quinizia a question, but she doesn't have a microphone on, and she was a reporter in there, and then it was like, oh yeah, right.
Totally fine.
We're not used to having so many people up there.
Right.
Yeah.
So Miguel, what did you learn?
I think the biggest part I learned was a lot of it was the technical components in our video as well. Like there was one point where we had 2 people in the same shot, but I also thought it was really important how the delivery of our voice tracks as well. They really loved Quinizia, by the way.
We were remarking that one of the Anne-Marie knows I always complain that I think my voice sounds terrible when I track a piece, and it's just one of the hardest things I think in the broadcast journalism field, tracking a piece, and it's very hard, and you nailed it. I mean, it was so good. You sounded like you're there, man. It was awesome.
So this is the last day for you guys. We're not going to see you guys again. Oh wow. So what has the internship process been like for you guys?
Man, I mean, for me at least, this place is amazing, full of so many opportunities, and I think that you get the most out of it by being willing to jump into anything and just put yourself out there and meet people. Everybody here is so warm, so welcoming, and they really do want you to come to them and ask them questions. And it might be intimidating, but I think that in any internship, it's really important to just break down that wall and understand, even though they're older than you, even though they have more experience than you, you're doing the same thing and you love the same thing.
Yeah. Kira, how about you?
I think, we were all in different departments, so I think our experiences varied quite a lot. But I think we all learned, again, this is a great place. We had great opportunities to learn and from, people who've been doing this for decades. And then also, I think, from each other in a sort of project and being in a group.
So did this confirm that this is what you want to do for a living?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All of you want to do. So let's give a quick shout out not only to the units that you were assigned to, but also your schools. So Miguel, we know you're a CBSN guy.
Yes.
So, and where do you go to school?
University of Minnesota.
Minnesota. Kira, you go to Wesley, right?
Wellesley.
You go to Wellesley,
yes.
Right? Okay.
You're gonna have to yell in her microphone.
But where were you? Where was your unit?
I was at Sunday Morning with the Mo Rocca podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Kinesia, you're speaking to that microphone.
I go to Charleston, go Texans.
Hey, Connor.
And I go to Syracuse University.
Nice, very good. Good university for journalism. Everyone's good, but
Savannah,
met a lot of
did you
journalists
tell us where you?
No, I go to USC.
You go to
Right
USC,
on.
and where were you assigned to which department?
Investigative unit.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
excellent.
Fascinating.
Well, we're so proud. I mean, I am really proud every year, and I'll tell you this. There are so many interns that we've worked with in our lives that are now our peers and our colleagues at this news organization, at our prior news organizations, and so I have no doubt that you guys and all of our interns are going to someday be sitting at a table right behind us or right with us here at a chair. So, well done.
Thank you so much.
Good luck. You won't need it. You guys are great.
Thank you so much.